All right. So I went out for a walk. I thought about doing something other than coding with the rest of my day or whatever. But then I thought, you know what? I'm just going to keep going until I burn out or whatever, or I get it all done. I feel like I can get it all done. But um, I did invest in these. So at some point, most likely I will be overcome with crack energy and either leave or I don't know, but it's another type of energy because whatever energy I was using earlier, it ran its course. So switching mechanisms. Um, I realized when I was walking just now that the first switching mechanism I ever utilized was for the quiz bots. Okay. So there's the quiz bot. And when I open this, you see you can choose which quiz you're going to go with. Hi. Yes. And I guess, okay, so so in this case, when you choose a different quiz, it just changes the URL parameter. And then based on the URL parameter, it loads the quiz. But here's my question about this. Because I don't remember how I did it at the time. Although I do have a YouTube video about that, but I don't think I got it. I don't think I went into that much detail about it. Where are you at, Quizbots? I am gonna have to sing some songs in a minute. What time is it? 6:42. Dun, dun. All right. So yeah. All right. So I have these quizzes, and they're just text files, purely text files. So let's see here. There's only one. There's only one schema. There's one QuizBot schema. All of the quizzes use the same. Oh, holy moly! All the quizzes use the same schema. But my question is, what part of the where does it? Okay, so in the URL, it would be like question mark quiz equals and then the quiz name. So then in run bot, it's using input get and then sanitize string, and then it saves. So it saves that value. Basically, saves the value of the parameter to the variable quiz. Then it does more sanitization. And then when we load the chat history, we give it the name of the quiz. So do I have to actually look at the name of that function? Oh my God. User message. I might have actually edited the functions here so that the function takes the content of the quiz. That's probably the reason why these conversations don't persist, is because I did that. Write chat history to file. Okay, so there's a function that is called find system prompt directory target. Okay, so it finds the file. It gets the target file. No, it says where the directory is. What the hell, dude? I don't know. I don't know. Where is it grabbing the information from the quiz? And sending that to the chatbot. Sending that to the API. Oh, wait. It's definitely in here. Let's see here. Okay. Just provide this information as part of the response. I think you answer. Next question. What the hell, dude? All right. I don't care that much. I do not care that much. Anyways, one way or another, it's simply updating the URL. Wait, but then but every time we switch the URL, I think it just automatically refreshes the conversation. So if I start a quiz like this, and then I go to a different one, we start over with no chat history. So it's literally just forwarding the browser to a different URL, and the URL has a different, which is not what we want, because obviously the whole point of what I've been working on today is to make it so that you can switch the system prompt without losing the chat or without losing anything. So that was my first ever switching mechanism, and you can see the shortcomings of it. So that said, a couple of things. First of all, for the reg bots, I want to create a URL based switching mechanism. That's the first thing. Not necessarily because that's like a good idea or like the most efficient way to go about this or anything, just because I just want to retrace my steps and redo with what I've done before and remember how that works and stuff like that. And then the second thing was Well, there's definitely debugging the fact that it doesn't work when you go to a specific parameter and figure that out. But I do think that creating the switching via URL parameter for the RAG bots will help me figure out how to debug the fact that it's not working for the FAQ bots and the web form bots, which are the same thing. And then I feel like there was one other like to-do item that I was thinking of, but I definitely want. And then what I want to do is, even though I don't think I'll go about it this way in the end, I want to think, which is going to be hard because the THC is going to hit, and then I'll be unable to think anymore. But that's okay because I kind of want to just understand how switching mechanisms work, like in every inside and out, up and down. So when I have to come back to this topic at some point in the future, I don't have to relearn it all. It's just like I'm very thoroughly understanding these things, and I can like whip them up on the fly if need be. Um, so the the reg bots have streaming responses. I'm pretty sure that the review bots and the FAQ bots don't have streaming responses. So the question is how to merge those. Uh, and if I know how to merge them, that might make the whole thing easier. But yeah, so just think about how the main API call for the review bots works and the main API call for the reg bots works, and exactly what the differences are and how you would merge them. Which shouldn't be hard because like originally all these files came from files where there was a structured output API call, and then the structured output API call switches to a streaming response. Like it gets the structured outputs, it uses that as an input, and then it makes a streaming response. Which seems like a lot, but because the response is streaming, it starts fast. So the fact that it takes a little longer doesn't matter that much. But basically, so then if I can think about how to merge those files, then I can come at it from both angles, which is to say, on one hand, take the regbot files and add in the main index bot so that it will list all of the different regbots available and you can switch to one. And at the same time, I can think about how I would take the web form files and very easily add an API call, which, regardless of whether it bypasses the initial structured output call or not, but that has a streaming response from the reg, from the vector database. But basically the way it is right now, so the reg bots have a streaming response and the web form bots do not. The web form bots have a structured output API call and the reg bots do not. So so I can merge them in from two different directions. And the idea is to do both. Or to think about how to do both. Anyway, so the first step here is going to be to add URL-based switching, parameter-based switching to the reg bots. That's going to be step one. Alrighty. So if I go to the regbots section, Regbots directory. And I take a look at the UI. Wait, does it have business? Yes, business logic section. And I look at the streaming response. Session ID, message. And so it's sending the message, it's sending the session ID. Let's just take a look here. Yeah, damn it. Yeah, so it's currently not, it's not sending the parameters. It's not getting or sending the parameters. So I would have to do that from scratch. Damn, that sucks actually. What the hell is, what directory am I in? Ragbots? The default is the MC Motors? Is that what it's showing? Oh, wow. Videos. Okay. Damn, that does suck. I have to do some pretty heavy editing to like the main, to the main UI file. Huh. Okay, function start chat stream. Dun 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 dun. All right, this is the function which sends the message to the back end. Hello, ChatGPT. Hey, I don't want to be doing this right now, to be honest. I would rather not be doing this, but you know what? Oh. Damn, ChatGPT is going slow as hell. How do I add URL parameters to what is being sent in this function? Where are we even sending it to? Chatstream.php. Okay. Session ID and bot equals encoded current bot and foo equals bar. So if the URL includes question mark sample equals Vegas, then it should send the value sample as Vegas. It'll understand what I mean by that, hopefully. All right, so let's edit this here. Got it, I think. Now, we also need to add these two lines, figuring out what the sample is even. I think I can put those anywhere. Let's find out. Okie doke, done. Now, when we're in chatstream.php, swap it out here. Now, how do I edit this so that it can utilize the value of sample? Just tell me how, don't actually. Oh, ChatGPT is going slow. Well, I like to eat a lot of bananas because I want to be mayor of Minneapolis. And if you want to be mayor of Minneapolis, you got to eat a lot of bananas because you got to go to a lot of Somali restaurants and they tend to serve bananas with a meal. Sample chat history meta equals sample. All right. Don't get ahead of yourself, ChatGPT. Okay, so I'm editing the PHP file so that once it is sent the URL parameter, it will actually save it to a variable. And before I do that, I should really check whether or not that variable is already being, Okay. Yeah. We do not currently have a variable of that name in this file. That said, in reality, I would need to check every file that is being included, or else I can't be sure that I'm not creating a naming class. Cool. So, yeah, so we have added that in there. What does it do exactly? It's going to put the value of sample into the error log. So I can test whether or not it's working simply by, so I change the URL so that it says sample equals Vegas. Now when I send a message, what Eminem songs do you have? Oh no, Vegas Lounge has no Eminem songs, I think. That seems a little weird to me. Maybe there's an issue. All right. So now I can check the error log, and if it logged that the sample was Vegas, then we are successfully passing that parameter from JavaScript land over to PHP land. And we can do whatever we want with it. Sample equals Vegas. Got it. Okay. So we're passing that parameter correctly. And if we want to utilize that value, then all we have to do is the string. You grab the string or whatever. Okay. So that said, so the first question is now how when I'm for the yeah. Well, so I guess the question is for the web forms, once we get that parameter, how do we use that to determine the system prompt? But it's possible that I've done that incorrectly, which is why that bug is there. And the other question is, I can't remember. Oh my God. I guess the question is how should we do it? Honestly, I don't actually care how I did it before. The question is how should it be done? Um, because maybe I'll come up with a better way this time. And so what we're doing here is we're including, where do we do that at? What am I even looking at right now? Ragbots. Okay. So we're in the right spot here. Requirements functions. Okay, well, something that I did earlier did not save, apparently. So that is messed up. So let's recreate what I already did. Right, which is that instead of setting the system prompt and instead of setting the vector database ID and the system prompt, we're just gonna include a file which has that information. Okay. And then we should be able to do this and this, and it won't matter. Okay. So there we go. If everything works, then this should work exactly the way it did before. What duet songs do you have? Enrique Iglesias and Ludacris. I was not expecting that one. All right, so so the point is that now it is pulling the vector database ID as well as the system prompt from a file. And just to prove that that's what's going on, if I edit that file to comment out the vector database ID, and then to put in oh my God. A different vector database ID. And then we refresh the chat. And we refresh here. Tell me what you got. Now it should be answering questions based on Flame and Tie. Can I order food? Yeah, so as you can see, even though it says that this food is coming from Vegas Lounge, it clearly now has access to the Flame and Tie menu. Okay. So what I should do here is make it so that if the URL equals flame and tie, okay. So instead of including the file system prompt, we're going to say if the value of sample equals uh, flame and tie, oh shit, wait, what happens if then we're going to include system prompt. And if sample does not equal flame and tie, all right, ChatGPT, how do I make sure edit this so that first it checks if the variable has been set, because if the variable hasn't been set, then it can cause an error and the whole thing shuts down even when it's not a big deal. Chat stream, okay. Okay, so if we set the URL parameter to flame and tie with no G, then it will include system prompt. So what that means is that right now the parameter is set to Vegas, and this will just straight up not work. Hello. Not working. Totally broken. However, if we set it to flame and tie, food, there we go. We are getting flame and tie foods. Okay. So now what we want to do is, instead of setting it to flame and tie, wait. Okay. Go. So this one we're going to rename to be flame and tie. And again, if that worked, then refresh, nothing will change. We should still be getting information about flame and tie foods. Cool. It did indeed work. So now first thing we're going to do is create a new folder called System Prompts. Now we're going to move that into that folder. And now we got to add it here so that instead of including flameandtie.php, we are including one more time. Let's refresh the conversation, refresh the page, and see whether or not it continues to work. Nope. Damn it. I broke it. How did I break it? I have a typo. One more time. Refresh the conversation. Refresh the page. Let's ask it about food. There we go. Flame and Thai food. Sounds amazing. It's making me hungry. Okay. Now we're going to go to that system prompt. We're going to copy it. But this time we're going to call it Vegas. Then we're going to edit it so that it no longer includes the information about Flame and Thai, and it includes the information about Vegas. And now we're going to change it so that instead of, we're going to, so that when the parameter is set to Vegas, it will grab that. Dun, dun, dun. Let's just check if I broke the whole thing. Great. Still working perfectly. Now, let's go to Vegas. So I'm changing the URL parameter to Vegas. And now, instead of answering questions about, where the hell am I? Instead of answering questions about Flame and Thai food, it should answer questions about Vegas Lounge. What Elvis songs do you have? Perfecto. Okay, now, since I'm doing this like sort of the dumbest way possible, but you know, it might be the smartest way possible to just break it into tiny, tiny, tiny chunks. So now, instead of having an if statement, like if parameter equals Vegas Lounge, if parameter equals Flame and Thai, what I want, I'm going to tell ChatGPT to edit this so that it finds a parameter. It finds a file with the same value as the parameter instead of checking one by one. I don't know if that made sense, but I'm pretty sure ChatGPT will know what the hell I'm talking about. Okay, and then add an else condition with a default. Ow. Includes this from default.php. Okay. So now what it should do is that if you oh shit. Okay, I'll just check if these ones work. So the idea is that there's a default one, but I realize that if there's a default one, there needs to be a default vector database, which I guess should be my like AI upgrade or something. You know, that definitely should be the default. But that's a little complicated right now, and so I haven't like created a default system prompt at all. Which honestly, I need to figure out where this welcome message is even coming from, and then put that in the system prompt instead of wherever it's coming from. And you know what? Let's do that right now. Why not? So, do you talk about Vegas at all in here? It does not. So let's see here. There is, damn, there's no set welcome message file. Where the hell is that welcome message coming from? I truly do not know. Could be in functions. I have no idea where this welcome message is coming from. It's got to be in functions. Let's find out. Yes. Okay. We defined the welcome message inside of functions. So what we're going to do is make it so that it doesn't do that unless it's not defined. All right. All right, this is a little weird how I'm doing this because I'm making it so that's going to be harder to know whether I did it right or not. But anyways, so I'm going to edit that. So I'm changing the welcome message to not mention anything about Vegas Lounge. So the welcome message will just be welcome to the AI chatbot created by AIupgrade.site, which is kind of bad because right now, in the event you see that message, that means it's broken. So it's like, here's a broken chatbot. And the people that brought it to you, AI upgrade, that's it. Okay. What are we doing here? So we're going to go to the so we're going to go to the Vegas system prompt, and we're going to define a welcome message, which is kind of dumb because I could have just copied this. Welcome to the Vegas Lounge chatbot made by made welcome to the Vegas Lounge AI chatbot created by AI upgrade. That's it. All right. Pretty sure that should work just fine. Let's give it a try. So that tells us that functions.php is what's setting the system prompt here. Which shouldn't be the case because welcome to the Vegas Lounge AI chatbot created by. Are you sure, bro? All right, so it's not okay. So it is working just fine. But if I change the URL parameter to the other one, what was the other one that we were working with here? I have no idea. Flame and tie. If I change the URL parameter to flame and tie, refresh. Okay, that does work. But the issue is why is it that the welcome message is not actually being set. By the system prompt, welcome message. Did I not save it? That's not it. Let's edit Flame and Tie so that it also has a welcome message. Just go dun. Flame and Tie. Okay. So the URL parameter here is Flame and Tie. So that means that the intro message should say, welcome to the AI chatbot created by, welcome to the Flame and Tie AI chatbot created by appgrip.site. And the reason why it's not doing that probably is because the UI is trying to grab the chat history. It's realizing that there is no chat history. It's referring to functions.php to determine what to do when there is no chat history. Functions.php is checking whether the welcome message has been set. It hasn't been set. Wait. So if I send some messages, does it actually change the... Probably not. Oh, yeah, it did. Okay, so then it pulls after the fact. God, that's... I don't know what to do. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to edit functions so that it also includes the system prompt file. Which means we are including it twice. Is that a problem? What happens if you include a file twice? I don't think it matters. Let's go see if that solved the problem here. That sure as fuck didn't work. If is set sample. Set sample. Okay. Okay. So now I've also given functions.php access to the sample. Shit, that should not say that. Why is that not working? All right, so let's change the sample to Vegas and just see what happens. Okay. Okay, I think I know what's going on here. So when we go to the UI file, now when we actually send a message, we're including the URL parameter with it. But when we simply run fetch conversation, we are not including the URL parameter with it. So all right, ChatGPT definitely overcomplicated that. But we're just going to go with the new overly complicated code and see if it works or not. Shit. Okay, there we go. So it didn't work at first because that was a JavaScript update, so you have to refresh the browser. But so we're at the Vegas Lounge AI chatbot. Okay, what Bad Bunny songs do you have? None. Shit. Okay. Well, we broke everything, that's for sure. So we're just gonna go ahead and undo that. Why did that break? Yeah, I'm too. I can't. I'm done. I'm broken. It's not happening. Chat. Anyways, I think maybe I'll just leave that bug there for now and move on, because it will work just with a delayed. Give me a song recommendation. Okay, so it's not setting the welcome message correctly, but it is correctly setting. It is correctly setting the system prompt file, and the system prompt file is setting the vector database ID. And that means if I want to make a new one, all I have to do is create a new vector database and then create a new system prompt file with that vector database ID in it. And then I can just change the URL parameter and it will access that vector database. But there is no default. There is no default. So if I don't have any parameter at all, it'll be broken. Broke. So in order to deal with that, the first thing we're going to do is create a default system prompt. And let me see if there's any. What the hell am I doing here? I am confused. Okay, so let's see if I have any vector databases that will be suitable as a default database. Okay, can we just get rid of this one if it's untitled and it doesn't have any files? That's like most of them are untitled and no files. El Tequila. Resource. That would be a good one for a backup, wouldn't it? All right, this isn't going to work, but this is not going to work, but let's give it a try anyways. Vector database ID equals vector database ID. Vector database ID. Vector database ID, vector database ID, PHP. There we go, there we go, there we go. All right, is there any other essential component here? Set the system prompt to nothing. Default. All right, I think that should work. Now the issue is that that was a different project and therefore it might be the wrong API key. And it's not working. So let's check the error log and see if it gives us if it's yelling at us that the API key is wrong. Okay, default.php, that should work. Undefined variable system fee, database ID, chat ID. Chat stream sample equals null. Chat stream sample equals null. This is Flaming Tide. All right, what I'm going to do is just temporarily replace the vector database ID for the default system prompt with wait a minute, with the Flaming Tide one. And then we can just make sure that that's the only, that is the issue there. So now in the event that we have no parameter whatsoever, which do we have no parameter? We have no parameter. Oops, that's not good. It should tell us about Flamin' Thai food instead of not working at all. And that's exactly what it's doing. So let's grab the vector database here. Edit that again. VDBID. Yeah, it's definitely the problem is that this vector database belongs to a different project, and therefore it needs a different API key. So unless I want to switch the API key out, which I do not. Okay. I don't know what the hell's going on here. Vector stores. So what I want to do here is to figure out a way to clone the vector database or to change the project that the vector database is located in, because that would save a lot of time rather than having to recreate the whole thing. But I'm not seeing any options to do that, and I mean, I'll ask ChatGPT if that's possible, but it tends to not know about itself. Can I change the project a vector database belongs to in the OpenAI platform? Short answer, no. You know, the thing is, though, I do think that I have everything in that vector database is like in a in a folder, in a specific folder in my on my hard drive. So I can just recreate that vector database super easy. So I just got to get to the right. Get to the right. Damn, that is kind of messed up. Because if ultimately I'm trying to integrate the RAG bots and the web form bots at the time, for the time being, they're using different API keys. So that adds one extra dynamic component, which is never good because every dynamic component is one more thing that you have to consider every time there's a bug, and you have to go make sure that's not the cause of the bug. So it would be better if they were in the same project. But anyways, I'm in the right project now, and I'm checking the vector stores, and there is no vector store for, there's a lot of totally empty vector stores, just vector stores with no files and no, they're untitled. Just press the button. Okay. Anyways, we're going to create a new vector store. Untitled vector store. Default. Now we're going to add some files. And the files we're going to upload. Damn, I was wrong. I do not have a folder with all of the, oh, yeah, I do. I just named it something a little different. There we go. So as long as I just select all of these, bring them all up, boom, 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 attach, grab this one, dun, dun, dun. Cool. Okay, so now in the event there is no URL parameter, which there is no URL parameter right now, it's going to go to the default vector database, and the default vector database just has information about Northeast Minneapolis. So instead of just not working, it'll answer questions about Northeast Minneapolis. Open mic comedy. Damn. That is doing weird stuff. I do not like that. Why is it doing that exactly? Oh my God. Okay. Where can I sing karaoke? Holy shit, that's really annoying. Yeah. So that does be working. That works real well. Now, what we also want to do is if like put in like a misspelled one or like just a totally wrong one. So if I just set the URL parameter to wrong, and so that should bring us also to the default one. Or can I sing karaoke? Oh. Right. Okay. So if the URL sample is something that doesn't exist, it goes to the default one. That is what we wanted. Now, if I change this URL, will the conversation persist or will it disappear? It seems to be persisting. Huh. Okay. It doesn't know that it's Vegas bar, but anyways, it is working. That is really weird how it doesn't automatically refresh the conversation when I go to a different URL. Food. Right. So I changed the thing to, I swear, was that not happening before? Now it's happening? Why? When did it get so freaking wonky? Okay. Anyway, so we now have a way of switching through the RAGBots via URL. So now the question is, switch through RAGBots via URL, switch through, how to make it so that we can switch through them without having to change the parameters. Although honestly, if the conversation is persisting, then there wouldn't be such, we could just have it change the parameters because it's and then the other question, which has yet to be answered, is how would you combine the RAGBot file, which has a streaming response, with the ReviewBot or WebForm file, which has a non-streaming response and it's using a structured output? Let me see if I can think about that for a second here. So I mean, if we combine them, we just use a chatbot response and we feed that into the system or the yeah. But that's not really the point. So the thing is, we just have it be like, yeah, we either need to add the API call, the Ragbot style API call to the web forms, or we need to add style API call to the reg bots, but then just when it looks up the system prompt, regardless of whether that's from the chat history or from the URL parameter. What the hell? Right. So the system prompt has the type of chatbot it is. And so if it says review, then it's going to run the structured output API call. And if it says rag, then it's going to run the rag bot style API call. Mm. All right. So I got to fix that welcome message bug and then continue integrating these two. So let me think about it. I feel like it would be really easy to integrate. But the other problem with the integration is the API key. Okay, well, that was fun. Maybe I'll try again at some point.